I'm standing in front of the apartment complex that I lived at when I was 18 years old in June of 1996. I left the apartment complex in my car around 8 o'clock at night, went to the grocery store across the street just to grab a few things, and basically a man stalked me at the grocery store unbeknownst to me. And on my way home, he must have been following me, and when I got home and walked into my bedroom, he was in my bedroom. We're going to Redlands, California. Redlands, California, it's in Southern California. It's in the Inland Empire. It's part of San Bernardino County. It's where I went to junior high and high school and lived for, many years of my life, in my youth. So I grew up in a town adjacent to it called East Highland. When my parents got divorced, we always lived in East Highland, but when they got divorced, my mom and I moved into a small apartment in South Redlands together. It was the first time that I was living without my dad in the house. So my mom and I, when my parents divorced, I went to live with my mom in this 2-bedroom apartment in, the south side of Redlands. It was one of the nicer, cleaner, a little more upscale, but still an apartment complex, but a nicer, cleaner, career people probably lived there. Maybe people like my mom, fresh off a divorce or something like that. But it wasn't a lot of young, college people living there or anything like that. Not a lot of couples with 2 kids or anything like that. I think it was a lot of professionals. The event happened on, what's my dad's birthday? June 12th, 1996. So, and I think it was a Wednesday night. I looked that up. It was in the middle of the week. But it was on my dad's birthday, which is kind of frightening. I was either about to graduate high school or had just graduated high school. The weather was warm. I remember that night. It was 8 o'clock at night that I went to the grocery store. So I was wearing shorts and a tank top, flip-flops.
Yeah.
So it was warm out. Southern California, as you know, is very warm nights in the spring and summer. It's funny because at the time, this was the 90s, and those really ugly, foam platform soda flip-flops were in. I think that's the reason I went to the grocery store, because believe it or not, they were selling those flip-flops at the grocery store. I never would have remembered that, but my mom, when we recounted this event later, she's like, Jamie, you bought those stupid flip-flops at the store, right? I was like, what do you mean, what flip-flops? And my mom always thought those flip-flops were so ugly, and she would tease me as a teenager, oh my God, you're gonna wear those? And I loved them, everybody was wearing them. But she remembers me coming home from the grocery store and being like, look, Mom, look what I got at the store. We talked about it in her bedroom, and I pulled out a pair of those stupid flip-flops. Yeah. So I think that's the reason I was going to the store that night. I think I probably bought those and maybe a couple other cheap things. I didn't have a lot of money or anything. So there's a lot of historic houses that have war bunkers, underground bunkers.
Wow. That
were built in the 1800s, which is really cool. They have those historic placards on the outside, and it's really charming. A lot of cool history here. Redlands Lawn and Tennis, I used to live there when I was young and had a baby, and I think we're coming up on the Stater Brothers right now, where, if it's still there, if it's still a Stater Brothers, let me see. Okay, are these the Parkview Terrace apartments? Okay, hold on. Let me pull in here because oh yeah, look, the Stater Brothers is still there. This is it. So this is the Stater Brothers grocery store that I was at, where law enforcement thinks that he saw me inside of here. Yeah, oh my God, it's so crazy. Let's see, so there it is. So yeah, that is the Stater Brothers where I walked in, got my stupid 90s platform flip-flops that my mom hated, and had no clue anything was about to happen. No idea. So I'm standing on Barton Road right now. Right there is the apartment complex. To show you how close the grocery store was, if you just look this way, there's Stater Brothers right there. And Stater Brothers is where I was that night, just picking up the stupid flip-flops and whatever, and that's where the guy saw me at first and then followed me home to my apartment complex, which is just right across the street. Okay, so we are in the Stater Brothers grocery store parking lot right now. I'm gonna take you on the exact route that I would have taken that night, that I did take that night to go home. that man is following me this whole time and I'm not aware of it. And I would have made a left right here. Now that's the main entrance right ahead of us of the apartment complex, but I would have made a right on Barton Road like we are now. And I think, if my memory is correct, there should be a left turn we can make right up here and then make another left into the apartment complex. But
it's a pretty big complex.
It's really big. It takes up like a couple of blocks, you know. It's really big, actually. It's bigger than I remember. But yeah, it is. So, okay, yeah. So I think that we would make a left right up here. Let me see what the street name is. Terracina Boulevard. Yes, now I remember. Definitely make a left on Terracina.
And at this point, do you believe that he was following you?
Yeah, definitely.
Did you notice him
No.
at this point?
I did not notice a car behind me, but of course I didn't think it was anything bad. I didn't notice a car behind me until I entered my apartment complex, which we're about to do. I did notice there was a car right on my tail and that entered right after me without putting in a security code. They just kind of like, I put in my security code for the apartment complex and they just went in right after me. See, like this is the entrance right here. Oh yeah, there's a security gate. Okay. I remember it being not a security gate. I remember it being a security swing arm. So like you can't get in without entering your code, but I thought it was a swing gate. Either way, you can't get in without putting a code. So, you know, he was waiting for me to enter my code and then he just like followed me in afterward, which is like exactly what we're gonna do right now. We're just so sketch, like following somebody in.
With the camera.
With the camera. With the camera. Excuse us. Excuse us. Okay, so we go in, we make a right. It's not looking familiar so far because there has to be a mailbox off to the right for it to be the right one. I don't think this is it, so I'm gonna turn around and go down the next one. This seems like it's the only other option, but it doesn't look familiar to me. No, because there would have been a mailbox right here. Mom, hey, I have you on speaker with my assistant. I hope you don't mind. I have a quick question for you.
Yeah, just a second. Let me turn mine on. My hands are all... I'm standing with me when I told that lady we are leaving because you didn't give a shit what happened to our family. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then they did. It was in the newspaper.
Yes, I remember you telling me about that. That's crazy. And then we wondered if it was the same guy. Okay,
Yeah,
this might be it. I think I'm in the right spot actually right now. It looks a little different than I remember, but like kind of the same.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll let you know how it goes.
Hey, have a good day. It sounds fun.
Thanks, Mom. Love you.
I love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Kitty. Hi. You're a big boy. Hi. Oh. Hi. Oh, you like me. From the time of like, okay, pulled into my apartment. Okay. I can't. Who's the star of this thing? Who's the star of this goddamn thing? I pull into my car. My first stop was I stopped at the community mailboxes. So I stopped there first before I got back in my car and parked in my assigned parking spot. But what's weird is that the mailboxes are no longer here. I think they've been replaced with a brick wall, which has like dumpsters. But this is where the community mailbox used to be. So I would have pulled in right here, gotten my mail, and then as I was getting my mail, that's when I noticed like really like intense headlights. You know, it was just really bothersome. It was almost like, it was just irritating. So that's when I first looked around or looked to the side and I noticed that there was a person, which looked to be a man, sitting in a Lexus, like a tan and white 4-door newer Lexus sedan, had his headlights on, and I turned back and kind of gave like an attitude look, almost like, dude, turn off your headlights. But he didn't, so then I just kept getting my mail. No big deal, but I didn't think anything alarming of that, just like a resident who's sitting in their car and hasn't turned it off and keeps their headlights on. Get my mail, lock my mailbox back up, got back in my car, and I pulled around to one of these spots. I wanna say it was the one on the left, right here. That was our assigned spot, and I parked my car. That is when I first noticed the man, like something is wrong, because I parked right here You see that sidewalk that's right in front of the parking space? That's when he first came into my peripheral. So I'm parked right here, and in the left side of my peripheral, I can see him walking by my windshield. He's walking on the sidewalk. He's standing probably right about here when I first notice him in my car. He's got his hands in his pockets and he's just like glaring, won't stop. And literally when he gets to this angle, he's still like turning back to see. And it was really alarming. But again, I got out of the car. At that point, I just wanted to get to my apartment and forget about it. Like, I just didn't think anything bad was gonna happen. So at this point, he's ahead of me, right? So he keeps walking this way and I'm behind him maybe 15 feet. So I'm walking, he's in front of me, not thinking, anything of it, everything's fine. When the man gets to this point, he goes to one of these apartments. Basically, he walked straight up to the front door of like this apartment. He's not knocking, he's not ringing the doorbell, he's just standing there. In my mind, I'm already painting this scenario that he's probably just standing at that door to wait and see where I'm gonna walk, right? Because I feel like in my mind, he's watching me at this point. So I continue walking because my apartment is right here. I can see my apartment at this point. So I continue walking this way. That's my apartment, that second window on the left. And that's my mom's bedroom right there, that bottom floor window. Because he's standing over there at that person's apartment, there used to be a tall hedge. I want to say it was like 5 or 6 feet tall and it was long. So at a certain point, he wouldn't see where I was going. If he wanted to see where I was going when I'm like right here on the sidewalk, he would have had to walk back away from that person's apartment door and come around the hedge to actually get me in his line of sight again. Here is when my instincts told me to turn around and see if he did in fact walk around the hedge to see where I was walking. Sure enough, I turned around and he's now walked away from that apartment. He's standing there and he's literally just watching me. And essentially I knew in my mind, he wants to see where I'm going. He wants to know where my apartment is. At that point, I was extremely afraid. I knew I was being watched, stalked, followed, whatever. I wanted to run so bad. I was so close to my apartment. I mean, it's right here. Around this left corner is my front door. But I didn't want him to give chase. I didn't want him to get alarmed and like suddenly start running after me. But at this point, he's only like 15, 20 feet away from me. So if he wanted to, he could have charged me, tackled me, I don't know. So I turned back around and in my mind, all I can think about is, Jami, just get to your fucking apartment. Like, walk fast, but don't make it look like I'm scared. Don't make it look like I'm running or panicked. And that's exactly what I did. So I turned around, he's standing behind me. I just keep walking fast and here to my apartment. And this was my apartment. This was my bedroom at the time. And the fence has gotten twice as high. The fence used to just be one tier. So maybe 3 or 4 feet tall at the most. The first sliding glass door would lead into our living room. The second sliding glass door would be my bedroom. And that night I had left to go to the store. It was like a nice warm spring night. My sliding glass door was open like about a foot, but the screen was closed and the vertical blinds were closed, but the door was open. So nobody would have had to like try to break in to get into my bedroom. As soon as I got into my apartment living room, I shut the door, locked it quickly, and it's as if the danger I perceived that I was in just completely left my mind. I felt safe. I felt instantly safe. Like, hey, even if he's a bad guy and he was watching me, he can't get me now, so it's fine. Then I just proceeded to walk into my mom's bedroom right here, down the hall. She's in there studying for the bar exam. And I just started telling her what I got from the store, like making small talk, and he could hear everything we were saying. He knew I was in my mom's bedroom and not in my own bedroom at the time. He knew where I was in the apartment based on the sound he heard coming from this window right here. When I exit my mom's room, I immediately walked into my room with the grocery bags that I had from the store, and I immediately noticed something was off. I walked in, and the first thing I saw were the the vertical blinds were just like slightly moving back and forth. And it wasn't a windy day. It was just like, why are they moving? And before I had a chance to process anything, this is what I see. And I just see like the top of a man's head coming through my sliding glass door, through the vertical blinds. And now he stands up and we're face to face. We're like 5 feet from each other. I'm in the doorway of my bedroom and he's standing just inside my room. He's just walked through the sliding glass door. I think I dropped my grocery bags. I was in complete shock. I don't remember exactly what I said to him, but my mom remembers from inside her bedroom. She remembers me saying something, like yelling at him, something like, what the fuck are you doing? Who are you? Who the fuck are you? Why are you in my room? So I got really angry, and I do remember that feeling. I don't remember what I said without my mom telling me, but I just remember that feeling of like, I felt so invaded. Like, who the fuck are you? I startled him. Because if you remember, he thought I wasn't in my bedroom at the time, so it seems like he was taking the opportunity to break into my bedroom, and he was gonna hide. I had like a little walk-in closet at the time. He was probably gonna hide in the closet and wait for me to go to bed, something like that. But he didn't want me to catch him in my bedroom, and that was very clear because after I yelled at him, what's funny is this is a sign. Oh my God. When I confronted him, he immediately was like, I said, who the fuck are you? Why are you in my room? And he literally like couldn't even look at me. He was like looking all around, and it was very clear to me that he was trying to come up with something to say on the fly because he didn't anticipate being caught breaking in. So he was like, my cat. I think my cat, I'm just looking for my cat. I think my cat went into your apartment. And I was like, fuck, your fucking cat's not in here. Like I was yelling at him. I knew that he had just lied to me, right? It was very clear what was happening at that point to me. Then my brain kind of like opened up and it's like, alert, alert. This guy is the same guy who was on the sidewalk, the same guy who glared at you in your windshield, the same guy who's standing in front of you, and he wants to do something bad. So I just told him, your fucking cat's not here. Get the fuck out. Like, I think I even said like, ew, at some point. I remember feeling like, you pervert, like get the F out of here. He quickly left. So after we had that exchange, he must have been in my room for no longer than like 60 seconds. So he leaves. So then he leaves the same way he came. He goes out my sliding glass door. He's running. He jumps over the fence. And so now the funny thing is, my mom is just a few feet away in her bedroom at the time. Two things were going on. She didn't know right away that I was in danger. I had a boyfriend at the time. He visited the apartment often. She at first heard me saying, fuck you, and all this shit. And she just thought like me and my boyfriend, he had stopped by. She thought, oh, he must have come over, and she's like joking around with him. It didn't register to her at first that I was in trouble. And also like her brain was elsewhere. She was studying for the bar exam, so she was super into what she was doing. But it didn't take her long to realize, holy shit, no, my daughter's in danger. Like she could hear something in my tone of voice, like, oh my God, something's going on. Well, my mom, for anybody who knows her, she's like 5 foot nothing, but she's kind of a little badass, and she's always packing heat. She has a loaded gun in her house at all times. Her gun was in the desk drawer where she was working, doing her homework or studying. So when I was in my bedroom, as soon as the guy left, that's when my mom, it clicked that I'm in trouble. Right after he runs out, my mom comes running in with her gun, and she's like, what the fuck's going on? And I'm like, oh my God, there's a guy. She ran out the sliding glass door, and I'm like, he's that way, with her gun. So my mom, like literally like G.I. Jane, runs out of the sliding glass door, hops over the fence, like warp speed. She's got a gun in her hand, and she's standing over here like literally in the dark, just like, where is he? And unfortunately by that time, like he was long gone. He must have raced to his car and like jetted out of here. So you can't see it because there's a tarp. Yeah, I don't know if you can zoom in. It didn't look like this back then, just so you know. That right there, that sliding glass door that you see peeking behind that tarp, that was my bedroom. That's where he entered. And I could see the same vertical blinds are still there. And like I said earlier, this fence was, half as high as it is now. So it was very easy to jump over. So he walked on this sidewalk, went through this little garden area, hopped over, and walked into my sliding glass door right there. when he came running out the same way. So he just like hopped back over, and he either ran that way or maybe he went this way. I don't know, because I was still standing in my bedroom at this time. Right as he's running out of my bedroom, that's when my mom knows something's wrong. She comes running in my bedroom, screaming with her gun in her hand, saying, "What the fuck's going on? What's going on?" And that's when I told her, like, there was a man, you know, he just ran out. He just ran out of my bedroom. So she hops over the fence the same way he did. She runs through this garden, and she's standing on this sidewalk near this grassy area. And she's literally just like, it's dark outside, and she has a gun, and she's like, where is he? Where the fuck? You know, she's like pointing it around, trying to find him. He was long gone. If I would have walked into my bedroom literally 2 seconds after I did, it's very possible that he would have already been in my room and hiding in my closet. And who knows what would have happened after that. I don't know why he was there, but it wasn't good. But also timing was on his side that night, because, you know, my mom came into my bedroom probably like 3 to 5 seconds too late to where he was already gone. What would have happened if he was still in my room and she's got her gun? She's a mama bear, you know, parents are very protective. It's very possible she would have shot him. Honestly, I'm glad that that's not the outcome, but I'm pissed that like we never caught him. He's never been caught. So law enforcement, you know, they're the first ones that really helped me kind of like paint the whole picture, because when they got here, they took a report. I gave them a really good description of him. I knew what he was wearing down to like the color of shirt, the type of pants, the color of pants, shoes, color of hair, his build, everything. The only thing I couldn't answer for law enforcement was whether he had facial hair. And that always stuck out to me, because when they asked me that question, I was really mad at myself for not knowing the answer. I was only standing 5 feet away from him, but I know that there's something that happens when you're in like fight or flight mode and it's a traumatic situation and you're kind of in shock. It's like almost like I was looking at his peripheral. So I knew all his clothes, his skin color, his build, his hair color, but I didn't know his facial features. If he walked by me right now on this sidewalk and glared at me the way he did, I would have no clue. I don't know facial features. I just know mostly everything else. I was so scared that night. I didn't want to sleep near any windows. I slept on the floor in the hallway because there were like 2 walls on either side of me. It was a really tight hallway, and it just made me feel safe. I could not sleep in my room. I didn't want to be near a window. It was so scary. The next morning we woke up, my mom immediately printed flyers and put them all around the apartment complex, including the area of like where the mailbox was that I checked my mail. We went straight to the sales office and let them know we would be breaking our lease. We told them what happened. They tried to get us like to pay, you know, because for breaking our lease. And my mom was like, yeah, no, that's not happening. We don't feel safe here. This man is out there somewhere. We moved out the next day. I mean, literally the next day. We just grabbed our shit and we moved to a house on the other side of Redlands, and we never looked back. And I have not been here since it happened back in 1996. So it's really weird, you know, to be here again. I mean, it looks mostly the same. It's just a little bit nostalgic. The apartment looks a lot different, I will say that. It's been interesting coming back here. It's a little eerie, but it definitely fulfilled the itch that I've had for like the last 25 years since it happened. It's a story that I think is important because, number one, there's so many lessons. Like, I should have listened to my instincts, my gut, so many times that night. I should have never gotten out of my car. I should have told, and at the very least, if I did get out of my car, I should have told my mom right away in her bedroom that there was a creepy guy looking at me. And, you know, he would have heard me say that if I would have said that. And maybe he would have been like, oh shit, she's on to me, and never gone in my bedroom. There's so many red flags that I ignored. I will never, never, never do that again, and have never done that again. I always follow my gut. And the biggest lesson is, you know, I was a naive teenager, and I truly thought like only bad things happen to people on the news. It's never gonna happen to me. It can happen to you. And so always be aware of your surroundings. I know I sound so cheesy and preachy right now, but I have learned when I pull into a parking lot at a grocery store, I always take a quick look around. I try to park under a light. I'm really good about not leaving windows, you know, open when I'm not home, or when I am home. I lock things. So many lessons to be learned, but you know, women just need to be safe out there. I'm so glad that things worked out the way they did. I rarely go here in my mind, but I just think, like, if I didn't walk into my bedroom at the exact moment that I did, would I be sitting here on this bench at the scene again telling you this story? I don't know. I feel very lucky that I am. I appreciate you guys watching and going on this personal journey with me. You guys have all been so supportive. Those who know this story and have listened to this story on my podcast, Murderish. I put a post in the Facebook group, the Murderish Facebook group, saying, hey, you guys, if I went back and visited, you know, the site in Redlands where that strange guy followed me home and came to my bedroom, and I documented it with video, would you guys be interested in watching that? 90% of you answered yes, but you added the caveat of only if you feel comfortable doing it, Jami. Like, you need to take care of yourself first. You need to feel safe. Like, only do this if this is something that you want to do. Don't do it for us. I appreciate you guys for saying that. Very, very sweet of you. That thought hadn't even crossed my mind, but I do feel safe doing this, and I'm glad I did it. And I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.